Hi, I'm Helen, and today's yoga class is a practice to get into the hips. We'll start in Sukhasana, which is easy pose, simple cross-legged. If this is too much for you and your back is rounding like this, then just sit up on a block or a blanket to elevate the hips higher than the knees, and it should feel a lot more comfortable. From here, we'll just start to shift the waist side to side. So bring in some energy to the hips and some movement. You can place the fingers on the floor in front of you. Just moving side to side, feeling the sensations that occur. I've got quite tight hips from years of running, so it's taken me a long time to open mine. And you will find that in general. Some people have naturally open hips and can sit cross-legged very easily. If you remember when you were at school, you probably sat like this in assembly and didn't think anything of it. But as we age, we tighten our bodies by sitting at desks and sitting in cars, sitting on chairs. We lose this openness in the hips. A few more of these. And then whatever leg you've got in front, so I've got, I'm mirroring you, my right leg is in front. I'm going to inhale, lengthen out the spine, turn my body to face the left leg, and then lean forward from the waist and tent the fingers, lengthen the spine and descend. So I can really feel it in this right outer hip. Breathe here. It's a really good way to start the practice if you're doing some warm-ups before your class. I do this quite often. I find it really wakes up the hips, gets into them. And then inhale, come back up and come to center. We'll do a few circles. This is sometimes known as stirring the pot. Bring the hands to the knees. On an inhale, come forward. And then as you exhale, you're going to round to the back. Inhale, come forward, a few circles. So the movement is actually coming from the pelvis. Feel the pelvis moving and rocking side to side, backwards and forwards. 5 in this direction. I think this is number 4. And then we'll go the other way. So it might feel a bit different going the opposite way. Really having that movement coming from the pelvis. I've lost track of the number. I think this is 5. It feels like it's number 5. And back to center. Change the cross of the leg, so this might be a different story for you. And we'll just start by shifting the waist side to side again. So I can really feel this in this hip here. Using the breath, observing the sensations in the body. You might feel some emotions come up in this class. The hips are all associated with the second chakra, which is all about emotions and relationships and feelings. So sometimes when you do deep hip openers, it can stimulate some hidden emotions. What our emotions are, they're our feelings, and we express them as emotions. And sometimes they get stuck in the body, particularly if we suppress how we feel. And these stuck emotions can actually make us inflexible and the body tight. You think about how you feel tension and stress in the shoulders. We feel our emotions in the hip area. And come back up. Inhale, lengthen the spine, face over the leg that you haven't got in front. So I'll be facing towards the right. Inhale, lengthen, and then descend. Keeping that spine straight, grounding that left hip, or the opposite hip from whichever way you're facing. Breathe here. Feels so good. This side of mine is a lot tighter than the other, and that's perfectly normal. You'll find as you practice, when you do asymmetrical poses, that one side of the body is a lot tighter than the other. And that's because we often favour one side. I'm right-handed, so my right side is a lot stronger than my left. Because it's stronger and I use it more, it means it's tighter. Inhale, come back up. Return to centre, and we'll stir the pot with this cross. So inhale forward, around. Feeling that movement coming from the pelvis. I'll keep count this time. This is 3, 4, and 5. And then we'll reverse it. Going the other way. Might feel awkward going the other direction. I know it does for me. 3, 4, and 5. Then inhale the arms up. Exhale, rotate to the left. Bring the right hand outside the left knee. Use the left hand as a kickstand. And we'll just wake the spine up with a spinal twist. Breathe here. Don't worry about how far you twist round. Then inhale, center. Exhale, second side. Inhale, center. Bring the arms down, roll over the knees, and we'll come into tabletop. So you might just want to move these hips a bit from that static pose sitting. Feels good. Just wiggle any way you want. There's no rules here. And then when you've wiggled enough, come to neutral. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Take the right leg and place the right toes on the floor, level with this left knee. Then you're going to sit the seat back to the heels, feeling this external rotation in the right hip. Breathe here. Quite a deep stretch. Feels good. Inhale, center. Release that leg down. Over to the other side. So left toes come out level with right knee. Tuck these right toes under. And maybe sit back towards the heel. Breathe here. Breathe into the stretch. Inhale, come back up and bring the knee to the floor. So the hip is a 360-degree joint. You can do some knee circles to wake up the joint. Right knee comes up and rotate it round in a circle. Out, around and down. 2 more of these. And then we'll reverse the movement. So knee comes forward this time. I think there's 5. Other side. Lift the knee up to the side and rotate down and around. But you're drawing a circle with the knee. Might hear a few clicks. And then go the other way. upwards. And then release. Move the hands about handprint in front. Downward facing dog. Tuck in the toes. Sit bones to the sky. Shoulders are wide. Upper back wide. Planting down into the base of the knuckles. Maybe just walk the dog a little bit. Wake up the hamstrings. You might really press one hip back, then the other. Feels good. Then inhale, right leg to the sky. Bend the leg and then open the hip so the knee is pointing up. And we'll do some hip circles here. So I call this scraping the barrel. It's not an official yoga term. If you imagine your knee is scraping the inside of a barrel that had treacle in it, and you're trying to scrape all the treacle off. 5 in each direction. If you don't like treacle, you can replace it with something else. Maple syrup's nice. And then release down. Just losing my microphone a bit there. Inhale, left leg up. Bend it, open it to the sky. So knees going up to the sky, opening this hip, grounding down into the right heel. And then we'll scrape the barrel this side. So 5 in one direction. Getting all that maple syrup that's stuck to the edge. Can't leave any behind. Then the other way. And then release down. Releasing the heels to the floor. And then look forward and slowly walk up into a forward fold. Then inhale all the way up to the sky, palms to the chest. We'll move through a few lunge sun salutations. So, big toe mounds together, heels slightly apart. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Right foot steps back. Right knee to the floor. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, palms to the floor. Tuck the back toes. Downward facing dog. Roll forward to plank. Descend the knees, the chest and the chin like an inchworm. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, seat to heels. Downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot steps up. Left knee to the floor. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, plant the hands. Back knee lifts. Step forward. Forward fold. Inhale, palms to the sky. Palms to chest. Inhale, palms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Left foot steps back. Left knee descends. Arms up. Palms to the floor. Back knee lifts. Downward facing dog. Rock forward to plank. Lower the knees, chest and chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, seat to heels. Downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward, right knee descends. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, palms to the floor. Back knee lifts, step forward, forward fold. Inhale, palms come up, palms to chest. One more each side. Inhale, palms up. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Right foot steps back. Right knee descends. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, plant the hands, step back. Downward facing dog. Forward to plank. Knees, chest and chin. Cobra. Seat to heels. Downward facing dog. Right foot steps forward, left knee descends. Arms come up. Plant the hands. Back knee lifts. Step forward, forward fold. Inhale, up to the sky. Last time, inhale, palms up. Exhale, forward fold. A bit close to the wall here. Left foot steps back, left knee descends, arms come up. Plant the hands, back knee lifts, step back, downward facing dog. Roll forward to plank, knees, chest and chin. Cobra, seat to heels, downward facing dog. Left foot steps up, right knee descends. Inhale, arms come up, plant the hands, back knee lifts, right foot steps forward, forward fold. Inhale, palms come up, palms to the chest, close the eyes and breathe here. So that lunge version of sun salutations really gets into the hip flexors, wakes up the legs, wakes up everywhere in the body actually. And then flutter the eyes open. And we'll move on to some dynamic hip openers. First pose, warrior two. So bring the right toes facing out, right toes facing outwards. I'll mirror you. Descend into this front knee. This back, make sure this heel is lined up with the left arch. So you might widen the stance. This thigh parallelish to the floor, depending how open your hips are and how strong your thighs are. Knees directly over the ankle. This right hip is turning under. Keep this back leg active. Arms come out to a T like they're on a shelf. And we'll move into 5 dynamic movements. So inhale, straighten the leg and the hands come together. Exhale, descend. Really feel the movement from this hip area. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, descend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, descend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, descend. One more. Inhale, straighten. And exhale, descend. From here we'll move into side angle pose. So just get a block. You need a block. So the leg position is the same as warrior two. Arms are to a T. You can bring the right elbow onto the right thigh. Don't dump all your weight there though. Keep this core active and inhale the left arm over, feeling a stretch all the way from the left ankle right to the tip of the fingertips. Another way you can do this is have the block on the floor, or if it's available to you, the hand may come to the floor. So I prefer to, when I do side angle, to have my hand inside the knee. Some traditions teach it outside. I prefer this one because I feel like it gets into my hips a bit more. So whatever position you're in, breathe here. Gazing point is the palm of the hand. Really open this belly to the sky as best you can and the chest. And then inhale, come up, straighten the legs for relief. We'll do the second side. Turn the left toes out. Get your foot position. The front heel intersects the inner back foot. Bend into this front knee. Knee directly over ankle. Left hip, glute is tucked under. And arms come out to a T. Gazing point is the middle finger of the front hand. And then from here we'll move into those 5 dynamic movements. Inhale, straighten and lift. Exhale, descend. Inhale, lift. Exhale, descend. Inhale, lift. Descend, 2 more. Inhale, lift. Descend. Last one. Inhale, lift. And descend. Moving into side angle. Remember, you can bring the elbow to the knee and open up this way. The higher your torso, the more twist you'll get. Or if it's available, come to the block or to the floor. Oh. Inhale, open and reach. Breathe in here. Gazing point is the hand. Then inhale, come back up, straighten the legs, and just heel toe the feet in. Move into goddess pose. So this is another hip opener, standing one. So when I first started yoga, this was a really hard pose for me to do because my hips were so tight. Over the years, I've grown to love it. So the feet face outwards. Make sure the knees are tracking over the toes. So they go in the same direction as the toes. Bring the palms to the chest. And we're going to descend the hips. Try and keep the back straight. And breathe here. So you should feel it, really feel it here. Lift the toes up so you're not gripping on the mat. This really activates the core as well. And breathe here. Two more deep breaths. One more breath. And then we'll move through some dynamic movements here. So inhale, straighten the legs and the arms come up. Exhale, descend. Inhale, lift. Exhale, descend. Number 3. Descend. Inhale. Descend. One more. Inhale. And descend. Straighten the legs. And we'll move into Malasana, yogi squat. So this one, if you've got tight hips, you might need a block or a rolled up blanket. Again, the feet are pointing outwards, so if your hips are very tight, your legs will actually be, your feet will be wider. Bring the palms to the chest, knees tracking over toes, and exhale, sit down. So your heels may be off the floor. I'll show you this from the side. You may find that you're like this and that's fine. What you can do is you can roll your mat up to support your heels, or your heels may be flat to the floor. You may find that this is your position here and not get all the way down. Or you may find that you need a little seat to help you. So there's always options, and don't worry about getting in the deepest version of the pose, because no matter how deep you are in the pose, your body will still be feeling the same stretch that others may feel, but who go deeper. So When I first started yoga, I couldn't do this pose at all. Really push the backs of the arms into the knees, widen the knees, and breathe and enjoy. You may rock gently from side to side. So if you're finding this challenging, just use the breath. Acknowledge the feelings and the sensations. Breathe through them. Know that everything is only temporary and this will end soon. If you're feeling any pain, please back out of the pose. But go to your edge. Remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And then place the hands down, slowly straighten the legs. Come out for some relief. So that pose is excellent for opening the hips and also for the health of the lower back. Just keep doing it every day, and over time you will find an improvement. As I say, when I first started doing yoga, I dreaded that pose. The more open your hips get, the closer your feet might get come together. From here, we'll come down to the floor and we'll move into frog pose. So this is a really deep hip opener. So you will face the side of your mat, bring the knees out, and make sure, I'll just quickly show you this from the side so you get the foot position. Make sure when your knee is coming out that this shin is coming directly out from the knee and the foot's flexed. So you don't want it coming at an angle, you need it to be perpendicular. So bring the knees wide as is comfortable. Feet are flexed and out to the side. You might stay up here, or you may come down to the elbows. Now, the hips coming forward makes this easier, but the more you sit back on the heels, I'll just move back so I'm still actually in the camera, the harder it is. So if you want a little more juice, gently move the hips backwards. If it gets too much, just come forward, knees off. We'll be here for a while. How long is a while? We'll see. This pose is one that, as you settle, surrender and let go, the body will start to open. So you need to be in it for a period of time in order to feel the benefits. So just surrender down and enjoy. Keep the shoulders away from the ears and breathe here. So, as I said earlier, the pelvis region and the hips are associated with the second chakra, Svadhisthana, and the power animal for the second chakra is something called a makara, which is a mythical kind of crocodile creature. So if you imagine the mind as a lake, and the surface of the lake is the border between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. So the unconscious mind is under the water, and above the water is the conscious mind. If you think of a crocodile, it lays in the water with just its eyes on the surface, and the whole of its body is under the water. And if you think of this in terms of all your emotions and what you hold, the crocodile's eyes are in the conscious mind, and its body the hidden part, the hidden emotions are under the surface of the water. And our emotions are just like this crocodile because they can come up to bite us at any time. When we practice deep hip openers and we get deep into the tissues where we're storing our hidden emotions, we're stirring up the unconscious mind. And just like the crocodile who can snap at any time, that's what our emotions can do. So sometimes in these deep hip openers, you can feel upset, tearful, cry. I've cried in these before and I didn't even know why. If you feel anything like that, just observe it, acknowledge it, and let it do what it needs to do. A few more breaths here. Now, to come out of the pose, we need to come out very carefully because we've put a lot of there's stretching of the inner groin. If you're on your elbows, first step is to come up and try to take some of the weight onto the hands. Then bring the toes together behind and then bring the knees in one at a time, back to center. And just sit back on the heels for a moment. Hands to the knees and close the eyes. And just process anything that come up. Observe how you're feeling. And when the body's settled back, move into another seated hip opener. Janushirasana, head to knee pose. So I'll face you for this one. Come to sit on the glutes, pull the flesh of the buttocks straight back. Always pull it back rather than out to the side, because over a period of time you might cause yourself some damage, if you know what I mean. Bring the left knee in to the chest and then allow the left knee to rotate out to the side. So it may be a butt off the floor like mine is. That's perfectly fine. It just depends how open your hips are. Inhale, lengthen out of the spine. Keep this right leg active and then descend forward from the hips. Hands could come down to the floor, to the knee. Maybe you can grab the foot, maybe not, it doesn't matter. Inhale, lengthen, and then descend. If you've got a belt or a tie or something, you can also be like this. So you're still getting the same shape, still getting the same stretch. You're just not as deep as other people might be. And that's fine. Yoga is non-competitive. You don't compete with anyone, not even yourself. So surrender down here. Deep breaths. Should be feeling it in the left outer hip and the right hamstring. Then inhale, lift the head, slowly come up to center. Use the strength of the arm to bring this leg in, release out. Do a little windscreen wipe. Side B, bringing the right leg in, close into the chest, and then allow it to flop open. Sole of the foot comes to the inner thigh. Inhale, lengthen out of the waist. Keep this left leg active and then descend forward from the hips. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, descend. So this pose, which is asymmetrical, this is where you find often that you've got imbalances in the body. You might find one side is a lot more accessible than the other. For me, I can get my hip is more open on this side and it's easier for me to access. Just be careful that it's very tempting when you have an open side to go bananas and look at me, I can get this deep. Be careful not to blow out this side, because the more deep you go into this side, it may tighten up the other side. So try and keep an equal balance. Something else you can do to keep both sides even is, for example, the other side, when I did this, was tighter. I can do that side again after this one if I wanted to. And that can help try and balance the body. Inhale, lift the head. And we'll come back. From here, we'll move into pigeon pose. So just come into downward facing dog. Stretching the hips back. Inhale the right leg up to the sky. Bring the right knee forward, and then the right ankle will come behind the left wrist. Right knee comes down behind the right wrist. Tuck these back toes under and walk the foot back. Pelvis is facing forward. If you've got very open hips, this shin may be parallel to the front of the mat. Mine isn't like that. Mine's more towards my groin. Lengthen out the spine, and then if it feels good, maybe descend down to the elbows or bring the forehead to the floor, making sure the pelvis is facing downwards and even. Feeling the stretch in the right glute, right hip. If this causes you knee pain, or you can always do thread the needle on the back. Same position. And breathe here. Try to ignore my dogs barking. There's probably a squirrel in the garden or something. And just surrender down here. Inhale, slowly come up. Tuck the back toes and stretch back. Downward facing dog. You might want to open this hip up. Do a few of these, scrape the barrels just to get the blood flowing. Second side, left leg lifts. Left foot comes forward. Descend into pigeon. Walking this back leg back, making sure the pelvis is facing forward and is even, and descend and surrender and release. As you practice regularly, you may find some days you're tighter than others. Flexibility is not linear, it can vary. I notice if I'm sort of wound up about something, then my body's a lot tighter. And sometimes when I'm feeling quite chilled, I might get a bit deeper into a pose. Every day is different. Then inhale, slowly come up, plant the hands, tuck the back toes, stretch that leg back, open the hip, scrape some maple syrup in one direction, maybe the other. Release the foot back to downward facing dog. Stretch the hips back. Slowly bring the knees down. We'll make our way onto the back. Any way you want to get there. Bring the feet near the glutes, reach down with the fingertips, just touch the back of the heels, knees for the sky. Shoulders are tucked under, and on an inhale, lift the hips up. There's back bend here to stretch out these hip flexors, the front body. And exhale, slowly release. Take the left leg and place the left ankle on the top of the right thigh. Arms come out to a cactus, and we'll come into a variation of a supine twist. So this just gets into the hips a little bit more. Keeping your legs in this shape, slowly descend them over to the right, so the sole of your left foot will come to the floor. Maybe you can turn the head and look towards the left arm. It should be feeling a stretch here in this left hip. Breathe here. And inhale back to center. Swap sides. Keep the foot flex, the right foot flex. Keep the shape. And then exhale, descend over to the left. Just got to shuffle up a bit. Maybe you can turn the right, the face to face the right. Inhale back to center, and we'll move into final relaxation. Shavasana, release the legs, release the arms, close the eyes, release the mind, melt and let go. Stay here in Shavasana for as long as you can. It is said to be the hardest pose of all. I know it's tempting to skip it, but it has so many benefits. If you don't practice Shavasana at the end of the class, it's the same as working all month at your job and not collecting your wages. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.